Welcome back to another shift here at the Intensive Car Unit. On this episode, we're going to be taking the rear subframe out of the Scion, reinforcing it with something I've designed in CAD, so we can then build a jig to make our tubular subframe to house the Maserati transmission. And here you can see I've got the 3D scan of the rear subframe. This wouldn't be possible without one of the members from FT86 Club, Cask2 6.0. He was able to 3D scan the rear subframe, and this allowed me to create a brace that ties in with the factory suspension pickup points to make up for the areas that I've cut out. Remember, I've cut out about 14 inches of space from this rear subframe, so I need to reinforce it. And with that, here's the part that's been plasma cut and bent and tabbed and everything like that to fit onto the rear subframe pretty well out of the box. This is built in 120,000 swallow sheet metal, and as far as everything goes, it came out absolutely perfect with only minor modifications needed. So let's quit talking and let's get to work. Now that we've got our reinforcement brace tack welded in place for test fit, now we got to go ahead and get the rear subframe out of the car. Before we can do that, I've got to go ahead and get that support brace right there cut out. But I'm not going to do that until I actually reinforce the lower subframe even more. The reason why is I don't want to go ahead and drop the rear subframe out of the car and watch it go brrr. That would be very bad and make me sad, because then I have to go buy another one, and then I would have to do more work to essentially do the same thing. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this bar, we're going to get a bar tack welded across, reinforce that, drop the rear subframe down, and then go ahead and get towards working to get that 3D scan designed rear subframe in the car. here you can see, as I slide this thing into place, just how good it fits right out of the box. I do need to do some minor adjustments, flexing, trimming, and stuff like that, just because it's kind of hard to mimic all of the little odds and variables and whatnot in here. But you guys can see this thing fits in so well. Again, this could not have been done if I didn't have that 3D scan. So another shout out for the awesome guys out at FT86 Club. Can't really build anything or do anything in life without some level of failure at some point. Well, I just had two of them. One of them could have been fairly significant. The other one was fairly insignificant. I'm an idiot and forgot to turn on my gas bottle for my welder as I was going through to weld that first little bit. And in the process of doing so, I got a big old globber of stuff down there. I'll show you that here in a second. The other was the acetone rag that I was using was too close to my sparks and it caught on fire while I was welding. Yes, it happened. That's on me. I'm an idiot. Just let this be a friendly reminder to always pay attention to what's going on around you as you're trying to get a job done. And right here you can see, if I point real carefully, right there, if you look, you can see little popcorn stuff going on there. And that's because I didn't have the gas on. Dum-dum. Now that we've got our transmission brace tacked in place, we need to test fit where the transmission is actually going to sit. The best way to do this is to put everything that we have into the vehicle and work towards test fitting to see if any of that stuff actually works. Now, the best way to do this is to put it up in place, use a transmission jack, and then take measurements off of that. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how I've done it. So here's that section that we've tacked out. There's our transmission brace that we've installed. You'll notice here is about center line of my axles for the factory setup. I went ahead and I 3D printed these guys, made them. They've got bushings that are similar to what I would use. This is all 3D printed. I've got a metal sleeve here. So what I did was I went all the way over here to the front of the transmission or engine. I took my degree, my digital degree finder here, took measurement off that to the body of the vehicle is level. And then I came over here and I measured what this was. Okay. Now let's talk about that for a second. You guys are probably wondering why I'm talking about degrees when the torque tube assembly would essentially have to be an exact line. Well, that's a problem because if I can get it here, this area is creating issues to where I can't run that torque tube. I would have to cut out all of that. That's actually the side impact structure for the car, and I'm not going to do that. The rules say that I can, to quote, fit a transmission. I can massage or open up that area. I just don't feel like that's within the sport or within the theory of the rules and stuff like that. So I'm not going to do that. We're switching to a drive shaft, and it's going to be similar to what Toyota runs. So what we do is I'm going to take my digital gauge finder, right here, going to come right up here. I'm going to flip this guy around real quick. You'll see it sits right about 88 degrees or so, give or take. I mean, this isn't perfect. Usually these are within 1/10 of a degree or so. So we'll do a couple measurements, 88 degrees. Okay. Now we're going to come back here. We're going to try and do something pretty similar off of the bolt head because it should be relatively flat. We're sitting at about 84.2. So if I subtract those two from each other, I'm sitting about 4 degrees. The best, now that's if it was a straight shot from way down there to here, but it's not. We're going to have a 2-piece drive shaft to help break that angle off. And my measurements come out to about 2.5 degrees. Ideal for this section is 3. So we're less than that, which is awesome. Now let's talk about our mounts. When you're looking at these mounts, transmission is not level. It is tilted up on the front end like we just measured. We take this angle finder, snap it on there. We're sitting about 84 degrees, give or take, from perfect. And again, this isn't exactly what I've done. We go over this side, we're also sitting about 84 degrees, give or take. I measured the difference of those off of the body and then subtracted that, and I came out with 5.2 degrees. So I need to change the tilt of my engine, my transaxle mounts, by 5.2 degrees. So what I did was I created these to be tilted, as you look at the bottom right here, at 5.2 degrees. That should make the center bolt hole and everything like that perfectly level, which will help the most with my fore and aft loading under high G braking and cornering and stuff like that. So let's get these installed. As you guys can see, boom, this little guy sits at about perfectly level 90 degrees or flat with the overall length of that right there. Ooh, that's something special. What's going on there?
So we go back to doing some drawing up in CAD. Transfer this to cardstock. This is the design mount and everything like that to mount to the subframe. Just got to get it taped up in place and test fit before we send this out to have it made out of metal.
Now, sorry about the light, but as you guys can see, just some cardstock, basic stuff, and I still have some trimming to do on this back side. But just with that, I pretty much have what I need to build these. These are just guides, that's all that is. But if I hold just a little bit of pressure, you'll see that matches up almost perfectly with that line.
And now we've got the rear subframe back in the car, just for test fit purposes and everything like that. What's going to come next is I'm going to build a jig off of the current subframe that's currently chopped up, so we can then use that jig to build a tubular subframe setup that will hold the Maserati transmission. So if you like what you've been watching, sorry this one's been a little bit longer to be produced, but if you like what you've been watching, please press the like, subscribe, leave a comment, question, or even a concern. And as always, please stay safe.